Why does all life eventually come to an end? Even Earth and the universe itself can't escape this fate. What force governs this inevitable process? It's the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy increase. In 1865, German physicist Rudolf Clausius introduced the concept of entropy while studying the transfer of heat. He discovered that in an isolated system, heat always flows from a hotter object to a colder one. This transfer doesn't mean energy disappears. It means energy shifts from a highly concentrated and ordered state to a more scattered and disordered one. This is entropy increase, the core idea behind the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy is a measure of disorder. It describes how dispersed and chaotic the energy in a system has become. Over time, entropy in an isolated system always increases. Order gradually breaks down, and disorder inevitably spreads. This process is irreversible. Once it happens, there's no turning back. And it's not just limited to thermodynamics. It reveals the ultimate fate of the universe itself. From a cosmic perspective, the law of entropy increase determines the destiny of everything. 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang unleashed an explosion of unimaginable energy, creating the first elementary particles. Over time, under the pull of gravity, these particles gathered together to form stars, galaxies, and galaxy clusters. The universe grew increasingly complex, but at the same time, entropy kept increasing. Every time a star burns, every supernova explosion, every black hole consuming matter, these are all examples of ordered energy being transformed into a more disordered form. It's not just the rearrangement of matter. It's a continual rise in entropy. The birth of stars is, in essence, the universe's attempt to resist entropy. They gather hydrogen and helium, and through nuclear fusion, release massive amounts of energy. That energy spreads out as light and heat, creating conditions for planetary systems and even life to emerge. But this creation of order comes at the cost of even greater disorder on a wider scale. When a star runs out of fuel and fusion stops, it collapses, becoming a white dwarf, a neutron star, or even falling into a black hole. This is the inevitable outcome of the second law of thermodynamics. The endpoint of increasing disorder once energy is depleted. And it's not just stars. Entire galaxies and the universe itself are going through this process. As time passes, galaxies drift farther apart, stars gradually burn out, and even black holes slowly evaporate. Eventually, when a universe reaches maximum entropy, all energy differences will vanish, all structure will dissolve, and time itself may lose its meaning. But life is something special. It seems to challenge this irreversible law. Physicist Erwin Schrödinger once said that living beings exist to resist the increase of entropy. In other words, life feeds on negative entropy. We do this by constantly taking in low-entropy energy from the outside world, like food, sunlight, and chemical nutrients, to maintain our internal order and function, fighting against the chaos of nature. From the division of cells to the thoughts in our brains, from the growth of trees to the creation of human culture, all of it is an effort to delay the arrival of disorder. But this resistance is only temporary. With time, cells age, organs fail, genes get damaged, and eventually, life can no longer fight the erosion of entropy. Just like a burning candle, briefly lighting up the darkness, only to burn out in the end. This is the fate no form of life can escape. Human civilization follows the same path. From ancient tribes to modern cities, from simple farming to complex industrial societies, we've been constantly building order, trying to create a stable space for survival amid the chaos of nature. Yet history shows us again and again, no matter how powerful a civilization is, it will eventually fall. No matter how prosperous a city becomes, time will consume it. Still, that doesn't mean we should feel despair. It's precisely because we know all things must end that we learn to cherish every moment. Because we understand that chaos is unavoidable, we become even more driven to create order and beauty. The law of entropy increase teaches us that. The meaning of life isn't about defying the inevitable. It's about using the precious, fleeting time we have to create something meaningful. something beautiful for ourselves and for others, to leave behind traces of light or warm memories. Even in the face of irreversible destiny, we can still choose how to live. And maybe it's in this very struggle against chaos that life finds its true purpose. It reminds us that even as the universe marches toward its final fate, we can still choose to burn brightly, to leave our own mark of light and heat behind.